welcome to BBC Radio Derby.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
What's life like as a travelling musician then?
Well, it's a bit more civilised recently because I've actually moved into a house for the first time in quite a few years, so it's not quite so hectic, but I'm still doing about 4 gigs a week on average, which has come down from 5 or 6, which I've been doing in the last few years. But yeah, busy with lots of travelling.
But you've got to keep yourself, in tune. Pardon the expression, because you've got to play every day, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to keep those fingers nimble.
And what's it like when people start to praise you? I mean, all press releases come out and they've got names attached to it, but Tom Robinson, Paul Jones, people like that. Do you have to pinch yourself?
Well, I mean, I feel very proud about it. I've worked very hard for a long time to get some recognition of that kind of level, and to be on a show such as yours, obviously, as well.
Oh, bless you.
And yeah, no, it's just really nice. It makes, because I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes you don't get any praise at all for what you do. And as an artist, it's kind of what you're after, isn't it? So.
Where does the style come from? Where did it all start?
It's well, it all started with Led Zeppelin, really. I discovered Led Zeppelin and my life changed dramatically then. I fell in love with music, and I discovered blues music and soul and all the rest of it. And yeah, my style comes from an amalgamation of rock and blues, early blues, modern blues, folk music.
Does it come from your parents' record collection?
It does, actually. Yeah. I'm a bit of a black sheep in the family because I'm the only musician as far as the eye can see, and but yeah, it definitely comes from their record collection. I mean, I remember one weekend when I was old enough to be left alone for the very first time, and I went through my dad's entire record collection, and there's kind of the blues band stuff. There was Rory Gallagher, there's some Chris Rea, and lots of guitar-based music, the Doors, and I remember listening to the Changeling for the first time, and yeah.
So what was it about that? Why not the music of today? I mean, I've got socks older than you. You're not that old, are you?
Have you?
Oh, no.
How'd you do that then? Because all mine got holes in them.
But the thing is, I mean, you're a young lad,
yeah,
and you sort of I'd have thought be taking influences from the music of today, but you found your niche, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I guess a good 75% of the music I listen to is very instrument based. A lot of guitar, to be honest with you, and I just find that modern music that I'm into is not so much instrument based. It's kind of can be more electronic or whatever. Whereas all of the music from the 60s and 70s and stuff that I've love is more impressive than a lot of it that comes out today. I mean, on the way here we were listening to a guy called Derek Trucks, Tedeschi and Trucks Band, I think they're called, and they're incredible, and they kind of hark back to the days when the music was happening that has influenced me. So I do listen to a lot of blues as well, Ian Siegel and stuff like that, and but mainly speaking it comes from back when my dad was my age, kind of thing.
But you get a guitar.
Yeah.
Do you feel at home straight away once you got that first guitar?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, just been into a music shop just before we came in here and had a go on a 12-string guitar that I've never owned before. But I just love it. I pass my time with it. It's something that's in me, and I just.
But when you got it,
yeah.
Was that going to be your job, or was that just something to do to relax?
Well, it started off. Just doing open mics, I used to go out every other night of the week and play an open mic somewhere. I did it for fun and go and have a few beers and be a bit social. And then over time, while I was at university, I started writing songs and going out and doing sort of floor spots at folk clubs, for example, or just little slots at acoustic nights. And then I started doing support slots to some of the local bands in different parts of the country. And then slowly but surely I've just built it up to be doing headline gigs and festivals and travelling around the world. Last year I went to Australia and did a month out there, and South Africa for a month, and did Europe for 2 months and stuff. And it's just so happened that I've stuck with it long enough to be able to do the kind of gigs that I want to be doing. And tomorrow's gig is a good example of that.
But who would have thought the first day you picked up that guitar that it would actually end up being your passport to this global travel?
Well, yeah, no, certainly not me, but I'm glad it is now. You know, I know if all else went wrong, then I could go and I could go out busking every day, and I'd be all right. You know, and I still do that occasionally with handing out some flyers for the shows and stuff.
When you're stood on stage, then,
Mm.
what does an audience get from you? Is it a two-way street? Do they provide something to you?
Definitely, yeah. It's a very cliched thing, but you really do respond to and bounce off the energy that you get back from the crowd. You know, it really does make a huge difference, and it's not necessarily dependent on the number of people there. You know, you can be playing to 6 people, and all of them be really into what you're doing, and you can tell that. You know, I play with my eyes closed, but I open them occasionally, and you can tell that people are into it. But then you could be playing to 1,000 people, and you might be booked to the wrong festival or something, and it's kind of going over everyone's head, and the energy dissipates, man. You know. But no, but seriously, you can you do feel it, and it makes you play in a certain way as well. You know, if I'm feeling good, if I'm in the right frame of mind, I do a lot of improvisation, especially when I play with my percussion player Dave Small. You know, he'll do something and we bounce off each other. So one gig is never the same as the next gig.
So are you relaxed on stage? Because you say I play with my eyes closed, and sometimes that could be quite shy. But
Yeah.
do you adopt a persona when you get on stage?
I just get so nervous before I play, and I always have done ever since I started playing when I was sort of 15 or whatever. I kind of used it as a device to escape from all of that. So you know, if you're playing to one person or 10,000 people, you can kind of treat them, all those experiences the same. You know.
What are people going to get at Buxton then?
Well, it's the first time I played at the Opera House, and I'm quite excited to be there. I'm going to be doing a support slot to the brand new Heavies, who I wasn't particularly aware of before, but I'm looking forward to playing with them. And I'm doing a short set, sort of 40 minutes or so, I think, and so I'm going to try and make it a succinct, you know, gig of tunes from a couple of old tunes, a couple of songs from last year's album, but hopefully mostly showcasing the new EP, which is called Hook, Line and Sinker.
We're going to be playing a track from that in just a second.
that's
But
good.
it's interesting when you're talking about who you're supporting,
Mm.
and you talk about what you were listening to with Zepp and everybody like that, and then the soul music. I mean, the brand new Heavies,
Yeah.
a great British soul group. So we have a chance to talk to them about their music as well. And will you be at the side of the stage while they're on, sort of playing along?
I don't know. I don't know what they're like. They might be the kind of band that likes to kind of keep themselves to themselves in the dressing room before, or we might be in the pub for a few hours before the gig. I don't know. It's always interesting to hang around with other musicians because everyone's different, and I certainly know which of the two I'd rather be doing. But you know, I'm possibly taking my electric guitar along as well. And you know, if we get on well enough and everyone gets drunk enough, I might go and join them for a jam or something. I don't know. It might happen.
Is there somebody that you would like to play with, go on stage with?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's loads of them. If I could go back in time and do a duet with John Martin, that'd be nice, you know. Or if I could, I mean, I'd love to play with John Paul Jones, the bass player from Zeppelin, you know. Or I'd particularly like, and I've sent his management hundreds of emails asking, can Danny Thompson come and join me on stage? You know, I'm in the area where he lives, or I'm playing at Ronnie Scott's. Would he like to join me on stage? And you know, unfortunately, Ronnie Scott's, even though it's a bit of an institution, isn't a big enough draw from these days because he's done everything and he's played with everyone. But I'd love to do a gig with Danny Thompson sometime. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about you. Let's play you.
Yeah.
The title track off the EP. Give me the story behind it.
Hook, Line and Sinker is a tune written about people who kind of just get sucked in by city life, you know, and their whole focus of everything they do and their whole energy just revolves around making money and you know, forgetting about the joys and the pleasure of in life, you know, the free things in life. And I'm very lucky to live in the Malvern Hills, and I can walk my dog for hours every day. And I visit these big cities, and I think a few days is long enough for me, and I couldn't live like that. you know, obviously people in the city do have but there's certain types of people who just their entire focus becomes money orientated, and it's a bit like that.
I'm looking forward to it already. Have fun at Buxton.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
You won't catch me working out.